Hey guys, welcome back to my channel again. We are here with Howard Flashin and Keith Francis with Round Table Realty for episode 3 of Brokers and Biscuits at Maple Street Biscuit Company. Shout out to Maple Street Biscuit Company. I'm almost done with my mimosa. I'm still on my first one.
Fresh squeeze.
Fresh squeezed orange juice, the best mimosa in town, for real. No offense to all the other mimosas.
You'll drink them anywhere. You know.
I will drink a mimosa anywhere there are mimosas, but
right.
Man, this is a good one.
You appreciate a good one.
Thank you, Maple Street. We're about to put the T in real tea. So this is for both of my brokers because y'all are great. What is the #1 mistake that you see buyers making in today's market?
I think the #1 mistake I see is them freaking out over inspection reports and not understanding that there's room to negotiate. There are things that can be done afterwards. You know, I think that a lot of times a buyer could lose out on a great home, start building their equity, you know, maybe steal a great rate, and they'll lose it over something like, you know, the carpet isn't perfect. So they've got to, right. And I've seen that. And I think that, and what that does is it, if they don't move forward, and let's just say that was the only problem, they don't move forward, the next home's going to have issues too. Even new construction has issues. Right. And so 100%. I think that with a great realtor like yourself, you can calm some of that down when the report comes in and we walk through it and say, look, you know, we don't want to lose this great deal over something that's fixable. And so I think that's one of the #1 mistakes. Yeah, that's one of the #1 mistakes I'm seeing right now. Right.
Just ask for money. Ask for a new carpet.
You can ask, but sometimes even like you get to a point where you're getting a great deal and maybe the seller's like done. They're like, look, this is as low as I'm gonna go. This is my keep number. Yeah. And
I've had that happen where we were like, we need a new HVAC. And guess what we did? So this was condo I was selling for my buyer. It needed a new HVAC. It was like, you know, close to that point. And the seller, even though it had been on the market for half a year and hadn't been bought yet, the seller was still like, nope. Well, luckily my buyer was still like, okay, I guess we can still move forward. I had a really nice buyer. It was great. Me and the other agent went in together and bought him a 1-year home warranty. You know, I don't know, it was a few $100s out of my own pocket, but it carries him over in case something were to happen to that HVAC in the first year of him owning it.
And so there's solutions, you know, and I think that a lot of times they get the inspection report, they freak out. They have a family member who is giving them input. And sometimes, you know, they just got to take a breath and kind of see the big picture, you know, with their great agent like yourself kind of to guide them and realize that maybe the deal is still okay and we can do some of the stuff afterwards.
And I think for me personally, I think interest rates, because that's the big talk right now. Interest rates, people will basically, you know, stay out of the game until the interest rates come down. The problem is there's so much pent up demand in the market that when interest rates do come down, those houses are going to get gobbled up and you're not going to have much to choose from. When I bought, you know, my current house that I'm living in, I don't even remember the actual initial interest rate that we had, but we, you know, went ahead and refinanced it probably 5-6 years after I purchased it and got a much lower rate. And, you know, the payment, of course, went down. But the price, since when I bought it, that was 9-10 years ago, has almost doubled. Right. So that creates a lot of equity in that property. So I think holding out because of interest rates, of course, you have to be able to afford the house. You might not be able to buy the dream house that you want based on that rate, but you can refinance it later if rates do come down. But the trend of house prices for the last 50-60 years, it's always going to go up
5 to 7% a year,
just like the price of tacos at Taco Bell.
Like you wait, let's say you wait 2-3 years, interest rates come down, those sellers can drive the prices back up because they're lowering them right now to, it's a sliding scale. Prices normalize. I won't say they are crashing at all. They're normalizing in, you know, because of the rates. You wait for the rates to come down, the sellers are like, woo, party time, and then all the buyers jump back in the market and then they start overbidding again and you're driving up the price another 30-40.
And we went through that from our experience. It was a very stressful time for buyers when the market was so tight and there was limited houses out there. The builders didn't have inventory, the resale inventory wasn't there, and they'd be in bidding wars, 10, 12 contracts on the same house or offers on the same house. That's super stressful to a buyer. Some buyers just gave up.
Yeah, and so there are two things I want to say on that. One is I have a lot of people who say they're waiting on the housing market to crash. Well, here's what I say. It already did. Right. The housing market crashed because instead of paying $100,000 over list price in a bidding war with 30 other people, now you can make an offer at list price.
Yeah.
So the housing market.
And ask for a buy down on your
Sure.
rate.
So all of that froth is gone, right? And so when people say I'm waiting for the housing market crash, I'm like, it is. It already did. Right. It went down 100 grand it went all the way back down to list prices.
Yeah. Right.
And so that is really important.
You're not having to overbid.
No, you're not having to overbid at all. And then the other thing I say is when somebody says to me, I don't want to get into a bidding war. I have buyers who'd be like, I'll make an offer, and then when I say, oh, there's another offer, because someone else likes the home too, and they go, well, I don't want to compete. My comeback is, so you want me to find you a home that nobody else wants, like a real dog of a house out there, something that needs all the work. And inevitably, you know what they say? Well, no, I don't want that either. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
I had a buyer, I was sending him properties all the time, and then I was like, this just hit the market, and it was a for sale by owner, and it was underpriced, probably by $100,000. And so all of a sudden it hit the market, and like everybody was going to schedule showings. We're all going, and I sent it to my buyer, and I'm like, hey, this house already has 2 offers on it. I'm running across town to send you a video. And he goes, I don't want to be in a bidding war. And at that point, I'm like, dude, I'm going to stop sending you homes. Like, I had been sending him homes for 6 months. I'm like, my job as your realtor is to send you the deals. If we don't get it, we don't get it. But, at the end of the day, my job is to send you the best deal. And this is a deal. Guess what? He got the house. Yeah, we won out of the 3
And there
offers.
you go. See, and I always say, like, if you want me to start sending you the homes no one else wants, you're going to hate those emails too.
Yeah. I want Keith to answer first. What is the craziest thing in all your years that you've seen go wrong in a real estate transaction? What's the craziest story you have?
That has gone wrong. All right, we're gonna have to pause that because I'm gonna have to think about it.
I can go.
Okay.
I'll go first on this one. And when you say craziest, there's so many. They're just. How about I'll give you?
I'm trying to pick the craziest.
Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you
one
crazy one. I had an agent help a buyer go under contract on a home. And then we did the inspection, and through the inspection process found out that there was an insurance claim for the roof. And
to get an insurance claim on the roof, what has to?
Oh, they have to have a roofer out. They have to file. Like, there's also legalities. It's a big problem in the state. But so there's this new roof on the house, but there's no permit on it. And so then through some investigation, find out that the roofing company has liened the house because they didn't get paid for putting the roof on. So then you reach out to the owner and say, well, are you going to pay them? He's like, well, no. But he got the check from the insurance company and he never paid the company, and he's claiming that they got into a fight about the pricing of the roof. And so now, according to the contract, he had to solve it, but you can't force someone to follow the contract. You're not going to take them to court per se. And so you end up having this deal blow up with lawsuits and threats of lawsuits, and all of a sudden, and from what I understand, the homeowner and the roofer went to high school together and were friends. So it's like his entire meltdown of, what they say about a den of thieves?
No.
The last one standing is the biggest thief because they just they shoot each other.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Reminds me of The Office.
For me, this is quite a while ago, but I was helping some first-time buyers, super young, wonderful couple, and we found a nice house in Mandarin that they loved, and it showed really well and everything.
This is when you were a realtor?
This is when I was a realtor.
Well, you are a realtor. So
I mean, of course, I'm always a realtor, but
sure.
This is when I was actually practicing quite a bit and doing the transactions. And that was an experience at closing. So we closed up the house, we went right before we were going to closing, we went to the house. All of the belongings they left on the driveway. So
what?
Trash, clothes, everything was on the driveway. It was a mountain of stuff.
Why?
I wish I still had, I took the pictures with, my iPhone or whatever I had back in the day. I would have to go back and find it. But my job while they went to closing was to go to Home Depot, grab those commercial super heavy duty black and bag all of that stuff, because people were driving by and rifling through all the stuff, and it was all over the
Were the
yard,
buyers
all
gone?
over the street. The sellers.
Sorry, the sellers were gone? They just left it?
They just left it.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK and then send the bill to the sellers. That's what I've done.
Yeah, and the listing agent was nice enough to say, hey, I'll come and help you afterwards. But I had pretty much gotten most of it, you know, in the bags at least. Because there was no trash bags, there's nothing.
They were like, but it was wiped and swept clean inside, wasn't it?
It was, and you want to, you know, because they were first-time home buyers, you wanted to have that great experience.
Yeah.
So of course they were super appreciative. It was the middle of the summer. It was really hot. But that was probably the craziest situation, because everything was going so smoothly, and that's what we talk about, like the ups and downs of real estate. And then you get to that one moment where it's just like, holy cow, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And that's a good realtor is going to go above and beyond.
Right.
Picking leads
on behalf of their client, like you protect them, you get really protective.
Yeah, but that was a crazy experience for me, because it was so smooth up until that point.
So I had a crazy one. One of my friends, and if he watches this, he'll know what I'm talking about. This was back in the days where there were short sales.
What was his name? Can we put it
Brandon
on
Baselli.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Brandon. So he bought his home. I helped him find his home. That's fine. He won't mind. These were the days of short sales. So sellers were selling homes and not making equity. Okay, they were just happy to get out some cases because they weren't getting foreclosed on. So in a lot of ways, you know, the short sale saved them. So anyway, we were buying this home, and we had asked for, you know, if they would leave a couple items in the house, part of the negotiation. Yes, but then later on in the deal, it started kind of getting some emails around like, I'm not certain they're going to leave some stuff like that he paid for. You know, it's in the, you know, like monkey bars in the garage and like the island in the kitchen and things like that. And so you're like, this is kind of like, I just felt funny about it, right? So we go to the final walkthrough that morning, and we see this truck pull up across the street and kind of park the car and leave the engine running. We look, and I think Brandon was like, I think the seller's in that truck over there with a couple big guys. And so we were afraid to leave the house, because if we do the walkthrough and say, okay, looks good, and go to closing, we felt like they might come in and just start taking stuff. So we ended up, so I stayed at the house. Brandon drove to Ace Hardware and bought new locks. He came back, we had to change the locks. Like, and then like he went to go to signing at the title company and came back. Then his wife went to sign. We had to like constantly keep the home occupied to protect it. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy one that had me scared.
People get petty. People get petty during the process sometimes.
And sometimes they lose sight of it. But you know, at the time,
that's the job of the realtor, is to stand in the middle and make sure that pettiness or the emotion or whatever doesn't cross the other side.
Yep. I've had buyer close in the last 6 months that on closing day, we go to the house for the final walkthrough, and there's just like random stuff that sellers leave. Like, it's the most random stuff. Sometimes there's dishes in the dishwasher. You're like, why? But this one house, they had a tray of cat pee sitting in the garage. So that made the garage smell awesome. Like random Bowflex, a whole like cabinet of chemicals in the garage, like a bar filled with alcohol in the garage still, and just random crap that I called, and the guy signed the for sale sign, just like blocking the front door, and you're like, come on. I called the agent. I was like, I just sent him pictures. Here's a picture of cat pee. Here's a picture of chemical. Here's what's going on. Come get your stuff. And I sent him the number 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and I said, you need to call this, and you need to have them come get all this stuff. And I don't care, you're gonna pay for it, the seller can pay for it, and they came and got it that day. But I was like, my buyer doesn't deserve this, you know what I mean? And that's your job as the realtor. You're gonna play nice. I always say, like, I'm super duper nice and I'm fun to work with. But if I have to, like,
you become a bulldog.
Oh yeah, like Mama Bear. Like, I get Mama Bear about it. They called me that in the Army. I was Mama Bear to like my whole unit. But you have to know how to, the claws come out.
Well, that's being a single agent. Not to go back to that, but
there you go.
There you go.
There you go. What questions do you have?
I have a question. All right, so you sat down with us. You had your son with you.
Oh yeah, I
at the
brought my
interview,
son
right?
over to my interview.
And we told you what we were all about, and we told you what Round Table was all about,
Yep.
right? And the question is, I know we're still sitting next to you, but I want you to be as honest as you can be.
Uh-oh.
Did we meet the expectations of what we said and what we promised and what we said it would be like?
If you hadn't, I would have left, and I didn't want to leave. And that's why I think I was so thorough and wanting to sit down with you multiple times. We sat down twice together, you know, and the second time I brought my husband along. By the way, my husband didn't meet my other brokers or team lead. I didn't have any interest in that. But because I care so much about planting roots and not leaving, I didn't want to, you know, nobody wants to change. It doesn't look good to change. And I was like, I'm going to make a change and I want to stay and I don't want to leave. And so, yeah, you guys followed through for sure. 100%. Yeah. You're in the inner circle now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
What's yours?
Like, what's the experience been with like communication and things like that
With
your
guys?
brokers? Yeah.
Good. I mean, everything that they said was true. And by say they, them, you.
Could you give any examples?
Oh God. I mean, all the time. I mean, it happens on every I've had quite a few closings since I've been here, shockingly. I think I've had 6 already. I don't know. But every time, it's never going to be a perfect transaction. Some are easier than others. I've had some transactions where I've never had to call Howard. I don't even know if he knew it happened, you know, because I got from beginning to end without needing any help, which is great. Like I said, no news is good news. But when there is bad news, like, and I'm like, 911, Howard calls me like immediately. I had to do that yesterday, not for a real estate transaction, but for something else. But like Howard called me within 30 seconds or something. Like, it's crazy. And I feel really bad for you, to be honest, because it does take a toll on the broker side. But let me say this. So for a broker to be, like when I say not out of pocket and to be readily available, it takes a toll on them and your family and your life. And it's a sacrifice that I don't take lightly at all. And I understand, like, I might not need you for a month, but then when I do need you, I'm like, please answer. Oh my gosh, like we need it now. And being that person for me has been, you know, really special.
I appreciate your concern, but my philosophy is you should give me the choice of being available or not. And if you don't call, then I don't get that choice.
Sure.
So there you go.
Well, I will say there hasn't ever been a time where I've tried to reach where I'm like, oh man, they aren't answering. Like, that's not it. That's never been a thing. And so I say, when you hire me, I'll put this at the very end of the video and the end of the series, because we're wrapping up Brokers and Biscuits. This is episode 3, the end. When you hire me as your agent, the whole reason I brought you guys on is I have the best brokers in all of Jacksonville, all of the country and the world, in my opinion. Y'all are amazing. The universe. And when you hire me as your agent, you're getting them too. And they are amazing, not only human beings and brokers, but like, they're just so smart, so available, so easy to work with, and you're gonna get all of that. You're in my back pocket, basically. I have like an expert. I would say I always have experts in my back pocket. If I don't know the answer, I'm never gonna pretend like I do. I'm always gonna go to them and get backup, feedback, all of the things.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. We love having you.
Thank you for coming on my channel.
Yeah,
I have my own
course.
channel, guys.
Thank you for filming.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Behind the scenes, Matt. He'll hook you up. But if you all have any questions about getting into real estate, choosing a brokerage in Jacksonville, of course, I love Round Table. We'll put Keith and Howard's contact information below. So reach out to them.
And if you need a great real estate agent.
And if you need a great realtor in here, I'm always happy to answer any questions. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. And of course, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things, save this, send it to your grandma, and we'll see you on the next one.